Hi, how y'all doing? That was good. Our suffering has finally ended. All Stars 9 has been put down, never to see the light of day again. This season did have some highlights, but the constant format changes, the ultimate one pretty much rendering the competition useless, a weak cast, and general burnout from the show, I would say, have made the season a chore to watch. I'll go into it in a longer video essay later, talking about why I think All Stars 9 did not work, but that's all I'm gonna say about it for now. Actually, my video essay on All Stars 9 would have been the mistreatment of Angeria, but given that she ended up being eligible to win the season, and then actually won the season solely because of a twist, does render any show of mistreatment irrelevant. But we'll talk about Angeria when we get to her later. For now, let's rank the 8 queens that were part of All Stars 9 based on how they did on the season. This is the point system in place, as you know. Let's go. In the 8th place, we have Nina West, who earned 42 points with 2 mini challenge wins in the season, and 4 badges earned altogether. I'm going to be honest, I did not have high hopes for Nina doing well this season. And I was right. However, I did assume that she would have been pushed more towards getting badges, due to her being a child-friendly drag queen and the entire nonsense conservatives are saying in the US about drag queens and kids, but that did not happen. On All Stars 9, Nina placed in the top 2 only twice, and overall she has lost 3 lip syncs this season. On the other hand though, she did win the double diamond or diamond double, I don't know, which, shockingly, if you could not get from the name, doubled her amount of badges from 2 to 4. Ru tried selling this as you were voted for this because the queens love you the most, when in reality I think Vanjie, Gottmik or her would have won this, given that prior to episode 12 they had 2 badges each, and assuming that any 2 of those 3 had been in the top 2 for the variety show, Nina would have been the easiest to beat in the end had she made top 3, if it had come down to a lip sync battle for the crown. I think it was strategic, not personal. In the 7th place, with the same amount of points, but 1 mini challenge win, and interestingly enough, the same amount of badges, we have Georges. I hope this does not come off as too harsh, but why was Georges cast? Obviously it was because she was available, but what purpose did she serve this season? Drag Race, as any reality show really, casts their queens based on archetypes that they can be boiled down to. 2 or 3 characteristics that will make the audience figure them out faster, and that the producers and editors can later make storylines around. Everything Georges is, another queen is a better fit for. Dancer/performer. Vanjie ate her up. That sort of Latino through the eyes of the USA aesthetic. Vanjie was more versatile and she had better looks. A twink out of drag, I guess? Gottmik eats her up. Georges also cannot talk to save her life, which immediately makes her be a bad narrator, but that also makes the season pretty painful to watch at times when she's fed lines into confessionals to be a narrator of an episode. Georges also was not strategic throughout the competition, with her only strategic moment being giving Chanel a badge in episode 9, thus receiving one in return. Georges was the definition of filler this season, and you can call me hateful all you want. These are just facts when we talk about the character on this TV show. In the 6th place, with the same amount of points as the previous 2 queens, but no mini challenge wins, so having pure 42 points, we have Chanel, who also earned 3 badges on this season. Robbed? I don't care what you'll say, she was robbed. In a variety show where 7 queens lip-synced to bad songs, Chanel doing her circus bit stands out and is way more impressive than what any of those other queens did. All 7 of them literally showed that they could do what the other 6 were doing, but I promise you that not one of them could do what Chanel can. It pains me to say it because I am such a fan of hers, but Chanel should have been in the top 2 instead of Angeria, thus also in the top 3 in the end. Sure, Chanel was not a strong competitor for most of the season, really only getting her flowers near the end. So she probably would not have won, but I think she was still a little too overlooked, just like on season 1 and All Stars 1. However, even though it was forced, I do think that her story of finally getting approval from Ru and herself came full circle. So I'm happy with Chanel's edit this season. In the 5th place, we have the fallen angel of the season, Gottmik, with 43 points, 1 mini challenge win, and only 2 badges won. I thought Gottmik was going to eat this season, but something happened to her after her great run in the first third of the season that just made her fade into the background. Her story ended up revolving around her being trans and maybe possible gender dysphoria, even after transitioning, or rather being far along in the process of transitioning, during the second third of the season. But by the last 4 episodes, she was nowhere to be seen. She fizzled out quite quickly, but she did always bring great looks to the runway, and at least we could always rely on her for that. It's also quite weird to think that in this cast, Gottmik is technically the lowest placing due to not making the top 3 and having the least amount of badges. She'll probably be back on All Stars in like 6 years. In the 4th place, we have the queen with the same amount of points, no mini challenge wins, and 5 badges, Vanjie. So I gave Vanjie 5 points for her placement in episode 12. I will explain why in the notes section of the video, but even if she did get 6 points, the maximum amount of points, she would still be 4th. Oh yeah, also I'm avoiding saying their PP scores because we divided by 11, and so every score is a nightmare to say. I don't know, do 10 push-ups every time you see recurring decimal digits in this video. Vanjie was my favorite part of this season. On season 11, I had a love-hate relationship with her character due to her being aligned with the villains of that season, but clearly being the nicest out of the group. Kind of like being the Alaska of her group. Interestingly enough, she was also kind of like Alaska on All Stars 2 as in TOO, given that she seemed to get along with everyone. She was aligned with everyone, but also at any point she could have been against anyone. She was funny, she was a great performer, she had gorgeous looks. Oh my god, Vanjie in black hair and that hip-hop inspired final runway was so good. I often get spoilers for seasons by miserable people in my comments, and one person actually wrote that Vanjie was going to be in the top 3 this episode. I had my suspicions that was going to happen because Vanjie was always shown as a great strategist, even when an episode was not about her. Problem is that she does not make the top 3 had it not been for the put Shea Coulee in the running for the crown so the kitties don't kill us twist, souring her runner-up placement in the end. But I think Vanjie had a great showing overall this season, and just like Chanel, I am glad that she got a good conclusion to her storyline. In the 3rd place, we have the queen that would not learn the words to a song if her life depended on it, Plastique Tiara, with 45 points overall and 4 badges. If we were looking at it fairly, let's say. So you only earn 1 badge if you're in the top 2. Plastique's badge winning this season was the purest. Without twists and nonsense, Angeria and Roxy also would have had 4 badges each, making the top 3 of this list, aka competition performance based list, same as the realistic non-bullshitty top 3 of the season. Going into the season, I did not have high hopes for Plastique. I believe I said that TikTok was not a talent when referring to her, something along those lines. I mean, I still stand behind that, but Plastique killed it on the season. Her looks, I don't even have to talk about them. We all know that they were great. But her performances in acting and comedy challenges were great as well. She really showed that she could be funny, and not only like a dumb drag race type of funny, but like smart funny. She was also the greatest strategist of the season, so great job, Plastique. Her downfall, I think, was, well, first of all, her wanting to fly under the radar, then her lack of care when lip-syncing, and also her urge to always look feminine and sexy in drag. Girl, just relax, it's not that serious. I cannot wait to see her in 5 years on All Stars again, hopefully this time coming back more vicious. In the 2nd place, we have Angeria with 48 points and 6 badges. The thing is, the judging for this last episode was whack. Everybody was shown as high, there was no winner of the top 2 lip sync technically, so Roxy and Angeria are kinda interchangeable here, had this season just been like normal for once, but that did not happen of course. I was rooting for Angeria to win the season, and I'm glad that she did, but I'm not glad that it happened this way. She was clearly everyone's biggest competition, based on how the queens were acting, and she constantly kept getting the edit that she was the villain, when she was not doing anything villainous. I've talked about why her edit does not make sense, and looking at it now with knowing that she won, it makes even less sense, because she was the villain to Roxy's hero. The 3-badge twist helped Angie the most, obviously, given that she would not have been in the top 3 if this Shake-Will-A blah 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 twist had not been a thing. Or rather, they would have just had to pick 2 out of her, Plastique Georges, and newly 4-badge owner Nina West. I don't know if she would have been the one picked, maybe. But her getting screwed over on season 14 was righted, but it was done in a wrong way, which is a shame. However, in order to win a VH1 or MTV season of Drag Race, you have to beat or take advantage of the twist, and Angeria beat the cutting twist, given that she was safe each time she got cut, so it did not matter, and she took advantage of this final twist, having the season end the way that it started, with Angeria beating Roxy. In the first place, interchangeable with the second place, like I just mentioned, it's Roxy Andrews. Let's say that Roxy's loss is fine at the end of the day. On season 5, she was a villain, on All Stars 2, she redeemed herself, and on All Stars 9, she was the best version of those 2 characters. Being a strong competitor and a strategic hero did not lead to her win, which reminded me of Lady Camden losing season 14. There were bits of villainous Roxy on All Stars 9, but not enough to actually make her the villain. And after her Lollapalooza win, I was so sure that she would end up being the winner of the season. So her loss did come as a shock for me. Even though I did think that she should have won the season, I did not click with Roxy. I think I only enjoyed 2 of her looks on the season, and her constant flip-flopping between her season 5 and All Stars 2 self, which is also a fault of the editors, by the way, it's not just her fault, made it hard for me to have a concrete Roxy in mind for this season. Yeah, what a weird ending to a weird season. So, notes. I think the placements for all previous episodes are mostly understandable. The queens highlighted during deliberations are high, the top 2 are just, the top 2, the winner of that is the winner of the episode. The makeover did have everyone highlighted, but it was clear that was done just to fill up time. And if you watch those critiques, you can clearly tell Georges and Plastique, other than getting robbed of that top 2 placement, were received better than the other 2 pairs. In this last episode, I marked Angeria as the winner, so 6 points, Vanjie as the top 2 loser, so 5 points, and everyone else was high, so 4 points for everyone. Obviously, yeah, everyone was high because everyone was highlighted during the deliberations, and they had to end the season on a good note. So it's pretty hard to determine 2 out of the 6 that would be high, so fuck it, like I said, everyone is high. Vanjie and Angie are the top 2, but they did not lip sync against each other, but they kind of did, since the top 3 lip synced. But did not do it against each other, they did it separately, and Angeria kind of won that, but didn't, because those final lip syncs never matter unless it's lip syncing for the crown, but even then they rarely matter, so kind of it was done to determine the winner. I went off that, I don't know. Angeria and Vanjie both could have been marked as the winner here, but it would not have made a difference in the ranking. Episode 12 still had to be a competitive episode, because, there was a challenge and a winner, or, winners. Yeah, what a mess. Now, the biggest winner/loser section. I first have to explain how the bottom 5 and the top 3 were placed. It was simply on the amount of badges. If any 2 queens had the same amount of badges, the one that earned it with less fuckery from twists gets an upper hand. So it goes: Gottmik is 8, Chanel 7th, Nina 6th, because of the fuckery of doubling her badges, Georges 5th, because she had 2 badges awarded to her, but she does have 1 episode win over Nina. Plastique, my beloved, is 4th because, again, she's the only one other than Gottmik that earned her badges this season without any fuckery involved. Vanjie is 3rd, Roxy 2nd, and Angeria 1st. Thus, the biggest winner of the season is, ironically, Gottmik, and the biggest loser, Nina West. Yeah, this one is a mess too. But what did you think of this season? Do you think the right queen won? How did you like the cast? Who was robbed? Any unpopular opinions to share maybe? Sign off in the comments and thank you for watching.